Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to do a walk around and show you everything that we've done so far on our 130 Overland. Well, it's been a bit of a crazy week here at LR Parts. I don't know why, but things have really started to take off. We've obviously been quite busy anyway over the last few months, but for some reason now people are starting to get back into doing things on their Land Rovers, which is great. But it has meant there's been a lot going on in the workshop and it hasn't given me a lot of time to do anything major. But I sat down and thought, what have I done all week? And do you know what? I've done a hell of a lot without even realising. So I'm going to run around a few things and let you know where we're up to now. There's a little bit of detail on how I did it, but generally it's just going to give you an overview of where we are and where we're going. So I guess the best place to start is the front. You can see we've got a nice number plate on here now. That's all fixed on. I actually had some bolt holes already on this bumper. So I've just basically got some nice stainless black bolts, gone through where the letters match, and that's worked really well. Another thing that was bugging me was I had 3 bolts here. Although they are stainless, they were poking through, and that is for our controller unit for the winch. So I've just put some silicone over there, well, some tiger seal over there, just to keep them from the elements and so I don't catch them. They're a bit rough and sharp. The other thing you'll notice is I have finally got the latches on the bonnet. So you might not know, but we had a bit of a problem lining our bonnet up once we had the bulkhead on, and I thought it was because I'd actually twisted the front end, but it turned out actually that the brackets here and here were 5mm out, which doesn't sound a lot, but it meant that I couldn't get the bonnet centralised. Now, we didn't have an actual catch on here in the first place anyway, and it was actually old rubber style connections here, like you get on an old tractor, that was holding the bonnet down. So I've just basically used that same process, but I've used these military style retractable latches. So I'll show you, you just pull them out and open, like that. Bonnet comes up. And then that brings us to the inside. Now, the only thing I've done on the inside here, as you can see, we've now got our washer jet tank fitted. So again, a little bit of detail here. We actually fitted a brand new tank, and I just chose the one that only has 1 pump because we're not doing anything at the rear. So that whole kit was purchased in 3 elements. We've got the cap, the pump, and the bottle. Now, I was missing the connector from the wiring loom because there was actually a little connector. Where are we? I might have encapsulated it now, but down here it connected to a fixing here, which is genuine Land Rover. I couldn't find that, so I had to just make my own. So I've just gone 2 wires into the 2, and it didn't work, but it turned out it was actually an earth on that wire, so I've had to earth it separately up onto the bulkhead, which is fine. So I've got my handle back on here, and it's no longer yellow. That is black. And let me show you what I've done on the inside. So can't use the ladder, which we have talked about in the past, but we've got this bulkhead in place now. This is only temporary because I've got to trim it, so it's got to come out to be trimmed and then put back in. But I still wanted to keep it open into the back because obviously we're going to have passengers and they could be kids. So it's nice to have that opening for them to sort of communicate with us inside. But I also like the fact that we've got a bit of protection from things that are inside here. If we do have a collision and that somehow releases itself, it's not going to help much, but you get the general idea. It's nice to have a bulkhead behind you because I think it's just a bit more confidence inspiring when you're traveling off road, because anything floating about in the back that can be lurched and thrown forwards is bad. So the only thing I do have to do is somehow think of a way I can put a support in here temporarily for the jump seat, so when someone's sitting on here they can lean back comfortably. I found these outdoor lights. It's just a rope light basically, which I've run around the aperture. And I think it accentuates the design, and I think it works really well. So that is kind of like our mood lighting, if you like. And that will be the lighting that's on there most of the time. But I have also installed our little unit here. So this is our junction box. And you can see we've got wires going from here to our lights. So all the power for this unit is supplied by our power pack. It's coming out the front here from that XT60 connection. Obviously, we're just playing around with wires at the moment, so don't worry about that. That'll all be tidied up, but it gives you an idea of what's going on. We've got 13.4 volts on the 12-volt system, but what I wanted was a way to switch lights on when you get into the vehicle at night. So literally, you just put your hand around the side here, and we've got some just very bright, very basic LEDs, which might move, I'm not sure yet, but they are there. and they light everything up really nicely. So literally get in, get yourself comfortable, and then lean over and just turn it off, because you can reach it from the seat there. But the best thing, I think, is this. I really like that. It runs off 240, which isn't a problem, and it doesn't draw a lot of power. But I'm going to have to try and think of a way to actually get some conduit in there so we can have this all wired up nicely and out of the way. And as I said before, this whole area that runs along under the window is going to be boxed out. And that's partially for storage, but also partially for all the wiring to pass from this unit to our power pack, which is going to be located at the back. And then we're going to have a full cabinet built in that corner, and that's going to go across the back behind the seats as well. So we are going to have a fair bit of storage, and obviously we've got storage under here on top of all of that as well. Now, the trim we've decided to go for is this quilted faux leather. It's got a deboss spot effect, and I know it's going to look a little bit Louis Vuitton, but the only other one we could really go for was like a football hexagonal print, and I think this will look nice when it's on. It's dark, admittedly, but we'll get to the lighting in a minute. But that is what we've chosen. So I've got 8 meters on a roll turning up of that, and that is going to be trimmed on the doors. It will add some sort of really nice quality to the vehicle, but also because it's quilted, there's a bit of sound deadening in there, and I'm really fed up with keep banging my head on sharp edges, so it'd be good to get that installed. So that's going to be done next week. What else can I tell you? I think I'm going to jump in. It's harder because I can't get the ladder out because we're parked too close to the wall. So I'm going to crush my knees. There we go. Now, it's always a bit tricky to show what I've done in here because of the space. But we've got 2 nice stainless hinges at the back here. And they were screwed onto the aluminium rail or bolted down into it from the outside. I've put these 2 holes in the corners so I can add my pull-down straps to pass through to pull the roof tent down. I might add more of those actually for air. But anyway, that's just how it is at the moment. Then we've got a metal support. Now, it's possible I might actually put a full length metal support on here because I have got some left over. But for now, just to test the theory, I've just put these little brackets in here to support the action of the gas strut. So it was a little bit hit and miss, but I got really lucky, and I think I've got it right first time. So I've just bought some gas struts off Amazon, which are designed for a divan bed. So the concept is they're obviously strong enough to pick up a mattress and the bedboards. So for us, we've generally got this sort of 3/4 length bedboard, but there will be bedding on there as well. And that's why I've only extended it up to there. So there is a gap at the top where it will trap our mattress, and also all our bedding will sit in there. But I think I've nailed it. So all I've got left to do now is add a little pull down lever on here. I can reach, but some people can't. It just simply goes down there, closes, and there we go. And then we've got our roof. Obviously this is all going to be trimmed, as is the rest, but check out this action. 1 finger, ooh, might have to do 2 fingers. And there we go. That's a 19mm thick board, so it's really strong. And it's going to have that reinforced front edge, which will sit on either side here, so that'll give it even more strength at the weakest point, which is at the front. But it's in, and it's looking good. So basically, if you want to get in, you pull it down, and you've got your bed space. Now, I've designed it so that if you're too fat to get through this gap, you're too heavy to fit. So I can just get in there. So there we have it. But it's a pretty nice space. And this is in wide angle because otherwise you're not going to get an idea. But you can see seat there, switch, power. It's all coming together nicely. They've got lots of headroom, as we said before. And you've got this. Now, the only negative side to having this drop-down bed is we have lost that extra head height we had when it was just the rooftop tent empty. But it's not a problem. It's obviously, you can lift this up when you're in the vehicle, and it'll give you massive standing height, and you've got all the windows and everything. So when you're in there not sleeping, or if you don't need to use the upper bunk area, if there's only 2 of you camping and you're going to be sleeping in the rock and roll bed or on the rock and roll bed, you can just flip that up and it will just stay up out the way. And it's hinged at the back here, so it just goes up really nicely. Now, one really crucial element to this whole build was making sure that the vehicle was watertight, and I can tell you it wasn't. Kenny, who helped me do the fit out, has been back in here and he sealed all these corners up with windscreen bonding agent, and it's all sealed all the way around. And we had the vehicle in the rain yesterday for the whole day and not a single drip came through. And I'm pleased to say I did also put some silicone or some Tiger Seal in the middle of all these rivets that I accidentally used, peel rivets which have a hole in the middle of them, so that wasn't very good. But they're all sealed now all the way along, and we are fully sealed. So the idea is to use this area here, and we're going to mount a metal propane bottle carrier mount on there, and that means it'll be stored underslung out of the way. It's not going to interfere in our ground clearance because it's actually going to sit higher than the chassis rail. And also I'm going to run a pipe, obviously from the tank, through here and mount a location, sort of like a coupling in this wing. And that means it's directly next to the gas cooker, which is perfect. So I've looked at a few different ideas, and there's a company, can't remember what they're called now, but they do something called a hot tap. And they've got a new product out, which is basically a jerry can sized unit that you connect to a propane tank. It heats it up in about 20 minutes and it gives you 20 litres of hot water. And I think that is the solution, because basically it means you can fill it up with water, walk over to where the propane tank is, connect it, get it all fired up, get it nice and warm, and then we'll mount it on the back here with our shower cubicle, and then you're good to go. And I think that's the best solution. So we'll probably just have the one propane tank that will do both cooking and showering. Now, the last thing that I was going to mention on this video is additional storage. And what we're looking at, again from Defender Overland, is a rack that's going to sit over the cab. Now, I've really struggled to find one, to be honest. And these guys do them because they do a lot of conversions. They do the, I think it's called the Doormobile conversion for a Land Rover. And for that, you need to have storage at the front. Now, we could have a huge rack that goes from here all the way over the front of the vehicle, but I just think it's going to look too much, and it's going to sort of probably invite too much weight to go on top of the vehicle. So I'm just going to go for a little baby rack, a basket rack that's going to sit on the top here, and that will mean we can store really loads of additional stuff on there. I'll leave a little platform so that you can climb up on the bumper, onto the bonnet, onto the rack to get easy access to our roof space up there. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to go over to those guys at Defender Overland. I think they're based pretty local in Yorkshire, so that'll be a good run for the vehicle, and also it will mean that we can go there, have everything fitted. The only issue we have possibly got is we've got to make sure that the brackets can sit inside here, but they've said there's two different ways they can weld the brackets on, because we don't have loads of clearance, but I think there is room there for a 5mm plate, which is what they are, and hopefully there's enough height there for the clamp mount to sit, and I think we're going to be okay. So that's really good. Now, another cool thing that happened this week is I had a meeting with the guys at Polybush, and if you haven't seen the video I did of the factory visit I went to, I'll put a link up above now and you can check that out. It was really interesting. It blew my mind just how skilled and how sort of old school everything goes into that way they make the Polybushes. It's really interesting. But the guys came to me and said, look, we've got some ex-military, mil-spec, top secret bushes that haven't been available to the public for a very long time. They're available now, we can sell them, and we want to put them on your vehicle to demonstrate how good they are. I won't go into the detail on it all now because I'll probably get it wrong, but technically they're quite different to the Polybush that you're familiar with, being the two-part Polybush system. So I'm going back to Polybush for a couple of days. We're going to get a full Polybush kit on this that's designed specifically for overland vehicles using their mil-spec new Polybushes. Mantec are going to get involved as well, so we're going to try and do a collaboration with a kit that's specifically Mantec mil-spec Polybush kit for overlanding. And if that's successful, we're also going to do one for everyday road use and off-road use, and also fast road. So there'll be just one option rather than the millions of different comfort options, hard, firm, soft, different colours. Mantec and Polybush are going to get together and do a series of kits which will make things so much simpler for you. Just to order one kit, you know exactly what it does, and we're going to hand pick depending on the grades of the Polybush that we think are best suited for an overland vehicle, an off-road vehicle, or a sort of 60-40 road vehicle, and possibly even a fast road vehicle. So that's something to look forward to. That's going to happen again in the next month. So there's 2 trips there, and then the third trip is when this is done to a point where I can enjoy it which is pretty much there now already. Probably after I've been to Pennine Overland and got the additional storage, I'm going down to Norfolk to see a friend of mine who's got a private campsite. He's the guy who's got the Camel Trophy camper. We're going to set up camp for a night and do a full review of everything. And that's going to be a really exciting trip. I might even do a live broadcast for that. So that's something to look out for. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed the overview of the 130. I'm sorry there's nothing too specific today, but it does get you up to speed and give you an idea of where we are on this build. And there's a lot happening in the next few weeks. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and you won't miss any future videos. If you do subscribe, thanks for watching. Do appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.